Welcome everyone to this Mantra Breathe. Sandra Ray is going to read out of her new book, Revolutionary Spiritual Healing. And this is chapter 6, the relationship of anger to sickness.
Okay, well, we always check and see what is the forgiveness test people have on others, and 0 is no forgiveness, 10 is total complete forgiveness. So let's just do a quick review. What number do you get on your father, 0 to 10? What number do you get on your mother, 0 to 10? What number do you get on yourself, 0 to 10? Or any other person that you're upset with, what number do you get on them? Somebody that you have a hard time with? So the point is, if you're not a 10 on everybody, including yourself, that means you're still angry. Just take a look now and see, what is it in your life that you're angry about? Something that happened. What I'm the most angry about in my whole life is. What I'm the most angry about in my whole life is. So the problem is, anger is extremely damaging to your etheric substance and your organs. It's also, of course, damaging to your relationships. When your relationships break down, your body breaks down. And the Course in Miracles would say, anger provokes separation. So anger pushes people away. If you're angry at your mate, for example, if you're in a relationship, you're pushing them away. Communication ends separation. Anger provokes separation. And the Course in Miracles would say anger is never justified because you're not a victim. You know, whenever you're angry at somebody, that's like victim consciousness. Oh, they did it to me. Instead of seeing that you attracted them doing it to you. So anger and hatred are the most damaging emotions to your body because what they do is it closes off the life force. So what do you do about your anger? Babaji taught me the highest thought about anger. You don't suppress the anger. That hurts your body. Well, you don't dump it on somebody else, like your mate or your business partner or someone. That hurts them. Then you're going to feel guilty. Every time you're angry, you're going to feel guilty. So Babaji said you don't suppress the anger and you don't dump it on somebody else. What do? You change the thought that causes the anger and you breathe it out. A lot of people might protest this technique, saying that the anger overtakes them quickly before they can do anything about it. But you have to train yourself. First, you notice you're feeling angry, then immediately start breathing to try to change the thought that's causing the anger. So it's good to say, I'm feeling activated right now. I don't even use the word anger. I'm saying if I'm feeling activated, the thought I'm having that makes me feel activated is. I'm not suppressing it that way. I'm acknowledging it. I'm feeling activated. The thought I'm having that's making me feel activated is. And what I recommend is you do not speak when you're angry. Do not speak at all to anyone, because you're likely to say something that you're going to regret later on, and then you're going to feel guilty. So just go away by yourself and process the thought. I'm feeling activated. I'm going to go process my thought. I'll come back and talk to you later. So that by doing that, you're not stuffing it. You're admitting that you're charged up, but you don't have to be yelling and screaming. Yelling and screaming is not appropriate. After you express it, the thought, then you breathe it out. You can take a walk around the block, run around the block, take a cold shower, drink some cold water, whatever. But lie down and breathe. So it's a bad habit to dump your anger on someone else. The Course in Miracles goes so far to say that anger directed at someone is an attack. And when you're angry and you're saying it to someone, you are attacking them. And then the Course says attack is like a form of murder. It's a pretty heavy statement, isn't it? Well, that has to be bad karma. So you don't want the karma of attacking someone with your anger. Because then you're going to feel guilty, and then guilt demands punishment, and then you're going to go downhill. And that guilt really can make you sick. Furthermore, it's probably not really that person that's making you angry after all. The Course in Miracles says you're never upset for the reason you think. It's usually an earlier similar event that's getting activated. So something in your childhood is being triggered. I was conducting a marriage consultation once, and the husband told me he did not have to be the one to ask for forgiveness because his wife, is the one that always started the argument. Therefore, according to him, it was all her fault. But I had to practically go over the whole loving relationships training for him to understand that they both created that moment. Actually, he needed her to provoke him so he could have an excuse to fight. This is what I had to help him get. He always blamed her because she started it, but he needed her to provoke him so he could have an excuse to fight. So he could recreate his childhood and feel what was familiar. Of course, she was just as responsible. We all co-create every moment, no matter who starts it. But he was stuck in blame and unwilling to see his part. Now I wrote this: imagine putting a little baby in a pressure cooker that was on all the time. Would you do it? Of course not. So why would you do that to your body? You should treat your body as kindly as you would a little baby's. So when people are angry, if I just leave the room, I don't want my body in a situation where people are yelling and screaming. I just leave. So when people are yelling and screaming, you don't have to stay there. What you want to do is be as peaceful as possible so other people around you pick up on your peace. Peace is not boring. Some people think, a lot of people think, well, drama is interesting, it's exciting, peace is boring. That's not really true. You can be at peace and have very high energy. You can tell a lot about people by watching them in high energy. Some people can't handle high energy. It brings up all their stuff. But anyway, the main point is it's not true that you cannot control your anger. Who is in control of it? So you don't get to say, well, I can't control my anger. Now I'm going to read to you what some of the spiritual masters say, and then I'll talk about what to do if you're having an anger attack. Guru Mai, she says, it is said that if you are a true ascetic, you are completely devoid of anger. If there is any trace of anger in you, you're called a scoundrel, not an ascetic. A great being will go to any extent to remove the fire of anger, she says. The greatness of a monk is that he can drop something once he realizes he has it. See, people don't get it. You can just drop something. You don't have to indulge. Oh, I can drop this anger. It's a decision. It's a decision. Once way at the beginning of rebirthing, I was quite new to all this, and we're talking about early 70s. And one of the other rebirthers went after my boyfriend. And I was really upset. How could she do that? And I was really charged up. So I didn't know what to do with my upset about it. So I called up my teacher and I told him, you don't believe what so-and-so, she came after my boyfriend. And he said, drop it, Sandra. Drop it and get back to work. And he hung up the phone. I thought, oh my God, that's all he's going to say? And I thought, oh, okay. You called him, didn't you? Are you going to listen to him? And I realized it was a decision. just to drop it. And I decided, okay, I'm going to drop it. And I never created that again. But I guess I had her set up as my sister or something. Okay, here's what the Dalai Lama says. We lose control of our mind through hatred and anger. If our minds are dominated by anger, we will lose the best part of human intelligence, which is wisdom. He said anger is one of the most serious problems facing the world today. You know, we're seeing that a lot now in politics. Actually, people are kind of getting off on their anger about politics. Okay, here's what the Divine Mother says. Amaji, anger and impatience will always cause problems. Suppose you have a weakness of getting angry easily. Well, once you become normal again, go and sit in the shrine room or in solitude if you don't have a shrine room and regret and repent your anger. Be sorry about it. Pray sincerely to your deity or Mother Nature. Try to make your own mind aware of the bad outcome. I see that my anger is going to create a bad outcome. Because when you're angry, you lose all your mental balance. You know, you say whatever comes in your mind and, you know, you act accordingly. You might even start saying crude things. But by this action, you lose a lot of good energy. You have to become aware that these feelings will only pave the way for your own destruction. Okay, so here's what to do if you have an anger attack. First of all, do not yell at anyone else and do not even speak. Lie down and breathe, exhaling your anger. You can run around the block if you can, lie down and breathe, or take a cold shower or drink ice water. Then, when you calm down, remind yourself of these 2 lines from the Course in Miracles. I think these are really important. You will attack what does not satisfy you to avoid seeing that you created it. Now, this is really amazing lesson in the Course in Miracles. It's so brilliant. The tendency is you will attack or get angry at what you don't like, instead of seeing that you created it. You will attack or get angry at what does not satisfy you to avoid seeing you created it. That is really something. Then it says, beware of the temptation to perceive yourself unfairly treated. Now you're going to say, oh, they did it to me. They mistreated me, blah, blah, blah. It's very tempting. But you have to be aware of that temptation. If you are unfairly treated, you attracted that. You will attack what does not satisfy you to avoid seeing you created it, and beware of the temptation to perceive yourself as unfairly treated. Those are 2 very powerful statements. So that means you created the result of what you're angry about. Somehow you needed it, you wanted it, or you're addicted to it. So try to get enlightened and see, what is your part? What's your payoff? What is the neurotic benefit you're getting out of the situation? Then you got to get some sanity. You say, I feel angry because, I got activated because, and you go back to your partner and say, okay, back there an hour ago, I felt activated. The thought I had was, I apologize. And it's good to go sit by yourself in a holy area. You can also write down your feelings of anger on a piece of paper, or, I like to write letters to my gurus, and I express what I'm feeling, and I put it on the altar, underneath the altar cloth. And another thing to do is, the reason I do not want to forgive is blank. Forgiveness is the key to happiness, and forgiveness is the key to health.
The reason I don't want to forgive is a process.
Yeah, you can write it down. The reason I don't want to forgive is. So,
what do you do with those reasons?
You offer it up to the divine, those thoughts, and you see that that's your insanity. So Catherine Ponder has these steps to forgiveness. 1, you forgive them. the person you're angry at. You forgive yourself. You allow them to forgive you, and you give up all desire to punish, all desire to get even, and you restore good harmony. So you forgive them, you forgive yourself, you let them forgive you, forgive all directions, and give up the desire to get even. Now, sometimes we get angry because we have a symptom in our body, and we're angry about that because it's not going away. But the anger keeps the symptom stuck in place, and anger will ruin your health. So the problem is anger makes you vibrate at a very low frequency. And I think people don't realize this, but anger can destroy all the former spiritual work you did on yourself. Let's say somebody was meditating for a number of years. Well, then they have some anger attacks. They're actually destroying the spiritual work they did on themselves. So if you want to be healthy and stay healthy, you have to give up your anger. That means all anger, suppressed anger, covert anger, overt anger, even irritation. People say, well, I'm not angry, I'm just irritated. So the Course says irritation is just the tip of the iceberg, and below irritation is the deep hate. If you went all the way down to the bottom of the ice, it would be hate. So anger, again, is due to lack of forgiveness. When you forgive everyone and everything, that's when your anger will dissolve. And it's not that you can't forgive someone. You say, I can't forgive. No, it's that you won't. Long time ago, I had to fire somebody. My guru told me they were dishonest. I didn't even know it. So I fired them, and they've never forgiven me. They said, well, I can forgive, but I can't forget. Well, that's not forgiveness. Not forgiving is due to a stubborn refusal. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Now, it's been said when there's any illness problem or pain in the body or anything in your body, there's a forgiveness problem. And most people go to the grave with accumulations of non-forgiveness. That's why they're sick and that's why they're dying. So the last thing I want to talk about is what you haven't forgiven, you tend to attract. So if you haven't forgiven something from your past, from your parents, then you're going to attract that in somebody else. Let's say you're mad at your mother for something, or you're mad at your father for something. Well, then what's going to happen is you're going to attract that very thing in your relationship. People don't understand that. It happens just automatically. So lack of forgiveness equals anger, and anger will destroy your body, and it will destroy your relationships. So I guess the main thing we need to do is to say, well, my fear of giving up anger forever is, what if I gave it up? What's my fear of that? I might feel good. All right, so anything you're angry at right now, let's start breathing on it. And you want to pump it out on the exhale. Inhale love, exhale any anger. We don't believe in indulging in anger in breath work. There are some breath work techniques where they indulge in anger and they kick and scream, and that's like perpetuating it. It's not really letting it go, it's indulging. You know, at the beginning of rebirthing, we had people come to us who were doing primal scream in the 70s in California. That was popular when I started out. And then they would come to rebirthing. Well, they were very good at expressing anger, but they were nowhere at dropping it. So we're talking about dropping it, not expressing it. There's a big difference. So just remember, you can drop anything by your decision to do that. I'm feeling activated. The thought I had that's causing me to feel activated is, you can write it down if you don't know what it is. I'm feeling activated. The thought I had that caused me to feel activated is, then I'm going to drop that thought. Okay, let's breathe now. Thank you guys for being here. And when we do this mantra breathing, it's like very healing because mantras are praising God. I just want to remind you, all mantras are praising, and praises heals you. Any kind of praising starts healing you. So that's why it's so good you're here doing these mantra breathing, because you're actually, while you're breathing and listening to the mantras, you are not only are you letting go in the breath, you are praising God at the same time, and the praises will heal you.